Nosferatu is a 2024 adaptation and reimagining of a 102-year-old movie of the same name, which at the time was groundbreaking for horror and visual effects, with the lead creature character being none other than Count Orlok. Even if you've never seen the original and didn't know his name was Count Orlok, he probably looks familiar since his pale face, bald head, sharp teeth, long fingers, and dark circles under his eyes has become an iconic look in horror cinema and simply all of cinema history. But is the new one a worthy reimagining, or should you just say no to Nosferatu? Movie day. Nosferatu. The new adaptation is written and directed by Robert Eggers, who has become one of the top and most widely respected horror directors in the past 10 years. His first feature film is called The Witch, which burst onto the scene in 2015. It stars Anya Taylor-Joy and has become widely respected and regarded by both critics and audiences alike. He went on to co-write and solo direct the dark horror comedy film The Lighthouse. This one's my favorite. Well, to be honest, it's the only Robert Eggers movie I'd watched prior to this one. Starring Robert Pattinson and Willem Dafoe, The Lighthouse is about two drunk sailors who get stranded on a lighthouse island due to a storm, and both gradually descend into madness. I remember watching this one in theaters and was absolutely blown away by how original, unique, well acted, and gosh darn hilarious it really was. It is such a quirky and compelling film. I remember laughing out loud in so many scenes and being blown away by both Robert Pattinson with a Boston accent and Willem Dafoe with a Scottish accent, I guess. Willem Dafoe is so electrifying in everything he does, but he goes full-on berserk in this film, and I am all for it. Willem Dafoe is also in this version of Nosferatu, which I will get to him and his character later. Eggers went on to direct The Northman, which since I haven't seen that one yet, we won't talk about it, so that brings us up to speed on Nosferatu. It comes to note that all of Eggers' films have been set over 100 years in the past, and this one's no different. Although this is the director's first stab at adapting and reimagining a prior work. Nosferatu stars Johnny Depp's daughter Lily Rose Depp and Renfield's Nicholas Hoult as Ellen and Thomas Hutler, two newlyweds looking at starting and building their nest egg. The film starts off in a nightmare scenario where Ellen dreams about an evil entity haunting her, but in like a weird sexual way. I don't know. We see a glimpse of this creature and the opening title rolls. She wakes up and sees her husband Thomas embracing her as he gets ready for his big day at work. Thomas's boss is set to send him off to make this big deal, and he has a very rich client who needs to sign papers for a property deed. The only caveat is Thomas has to travel to a far-off castle, leaving his beloved wife Ellen home alone for several days. Ellen doesn't want Thomas to leave as she seems to have some abandonment issues, but Thomas reassures her that everything will be fine and the family will be a lot more well-off monetarily because of it. Ellen reluctantly lets him go, and Thomas nimbly speed walks through town to work, trying not to be late as he is already running behind. As of right now, everything seems to be working really well as it starts very eerily. We're set in this town of Wisburg, Germany in 1838. Wisburg is a fictional city, but it's to note that technically there was no country called Germany until 1871. Anyway, it's all fiction, so who cares? Thomas gets sent off into the country, and lo and behold, the place where his client lives happens to be a medieval castle owned by, you guessed it, Count Orlok, the creepy villain who's been secretly and sexually haunting Thomas's wife Ellen's dreams. Madness ensues as Thomas gradually learns he's not dealing with any regular client, and Ellen's haunted dreams gradually progress to being more and more visceral and real. Nosferatu is based off of Bram Stoker's Dracula, and the film hits many, if not all, of the same/similar points. So let's get to the good of the film. The set design is impeccable. We're transported into 1838 fictional Germany, and boy, there isn't a second where I didn't believe that. The costume designs are flawless, with every single character being dressed to the nines. Everything from their wardrobe to their hair and makeup is meticulously designed, and it makes you want to dress up in one of those costumes and live in that world. Maybe for just like a day though. The actual day, daytime, not nighttime. The cinematography is also fantastic, as every single shot is masterfully planned and placed in this motion picture, and I can honestly say that every single frame of this film could be actually framed and hung up on a wall as a piece of art. Lily Rose Depp is the highlight of this film as she acts her heart out and navigates all kinds of emotions from kindness and gentleness to loneliness to having abandonment issues and even acting sexually possessed, which I never thought I would ever say those two words in that combination, but if you've seen the film, it makes perfect sense. The best actor in this film is by far Willem Dafoe, who plays the kooky doctor that gets the call when all other regular doctors can't help Ellen's situation. You can tell Willem is enjoying this role, kind of hamming it up, but at the same time, he takes it very seriously. His character has been treated a bit as an outcast, and he becomes the one to call, as Ellen's becoming a bit of an outcast herself.
You know, I'm something of an
outcast
myself.
One of my favorite scenes in the film is when Thomas, the out-of-towner, goes to a bar/inn and everyone in there stops and stares at him. It's the proverbial scene that we've seen in movies for decades, but it was supremely well crafted, and I myself even felt the pain of Thomas being the outsider, trying to act normal with creepy weirdos staring at you as if you just came down from the planet Neptune in 2035. Another strong point is the sound design and the sound effects. From when we're in the castle to back when we're in the snow or a blizzard, to especially, now this isn't a spoiler as I'm sure you can guess, the vampire, Count Orlok, eventually sinks his teeth and drinks people's blood. The sound design is incredible. You can hear him gulp down blood in 7.1 surround sound audio. I've never heard such a visceral sound effect. It was like someone who had been crossing the Sahara Desert and finally found a massive jug of water and guzzles it, but in a weird, creepy, evil way. I can't do it justice. Now, I've been high praising this movie up until this point, and I will say this film is, on a technical standpoint, flawless. But I regret to inform you that it's pretty much all downhill from here. Let's get to the bad. This film thinks that it is a lot scarier than it actually is. I normally wouldn't have a problem with that, but it has been marketed as a horror movie and has been hyped as one of the scariest movies ever made, or the scariest movie of 2024. And I honestly can say that there wasn't a single second where I felt scared. There's creepy scenes, definitely, especially when it comes to the occult stuff. Yeah, that's pretty creepy, but none of it did I ever find to be actually horrifying and or scary. In fact, the movie took itself so damn seriously it became hilarious. It borderlined the Room level of unintentional comedy at some points.
You are tearing me apart, Lisa!
We had a packed audience on a Friday night, and I kid you not, half of them, including myself and my friend Chris, were laughing out loud during several scenes that were supposed to be ultra serious but ended up being hilarious. I'll give you an example. Count Orlok's voice sounds like this. Nosferatu. I requested the documents from your superior. And people were just downright laughing. At first, the voice is kind of cool, but the guy rolls it every single R. And it gets old after a while. It gets old. I would have rather had him not say anything and just stand there and stare. That would have been 100 times creepier. There's times Count Orlok is talking so much, it's like he's giving off Shakespearean level monologues, and it's hard to understand what the hell he's saying. So you don't know what he's saying, you don't really care what he's saying, but all you know is that he's rolling his R's. Next, we have the lead male role of Thomas, played by Nicholas Hoult. I wouldn't necessarily call him bad, that might be a little harsh, but he's just okay.
This is Thomas thinking, this is fine.
Alright, I'm gonna get something off my chest. Right here, right now. I don't know why this guy keeps getting cast in so many movies in the past 2 years. He's an okay actor at best. Look, he seems like a nice guy, but he was grossly miscast for this role. I get that Thomas is supposed to be a regular, unassuming guy, but at no point did he lead the way, and he was outacted by literally everyone else in the cast throughout the film. He just kind of stands there with his mouth halfway open, looking like a doofus, and then at other times when he's supposed to be scared, it just looks like he's crying. I feel like the guy belongs in TV sitcoms. That's not a diss, it's just more accurate. He would be more of like a Joey in a British version of Friends. Every time he was on screen, it just felt like he was out of place. Maybe that's what Eggers is going for, a doe in headlights kind of look, someone who's about to get reamed over by a bus, aka Count Orlok and his vampire penis. Oh, sorry, I just said vampire penis. That's a spoiler. Yeah, there's a vampire penis in this movie. Well, you know what? Now, let's get to the ugly. Count Orlok himself. Okay. I know he's supposed to be ugly. I get that. I'm talking more about the character design of the vampire himself. I'm not going to spoil his actual look. Don't worry. I spoiled his vampire penis. Sorry about that. But this is a controversial opinion across the internet where many people hate this new design. Some people thought it serves its purpose, but nowhere have I seen people say, oh wow, that design was so scary, even scarier than the original. Other than the cast and crew in interviews themselves, I mean, what are they supposed to say? They have to say it was creepy and scary.
Both totally terrifying and also so
The original Count Orlok was so creepy and scary looking, but it wasn't perfect because in 1922, they didn't exactly have anywhere near the tools that we do today to make sure the creature is even more creepy. Yeah, you can kind of see his bald cap a little bit, maybe if you look closely, but it's still way more creepy and terrifying than the one we get in this version. Now, I'm not hating on the actor Bill Skarsgård who plays Count Orlok. I think he's a really great actor, and he seemingly did everything that he was asked for in this movie and then some to the best of his ability. It's more about Count Orlok. The 1922 Count Orlok was so creepy and scary looking. As soon as you see it once, it becomes ingrained in your brain forever. But if the effects artists were to just take the look of the original Count Orlok, and apply the technology with silicone, contacts, blood, teeth, skin, nails, and enhance what was already there to the more supreme 2020s technology of practical effects, it would have been a 360 slam dunk from the free throw line. Instead, they went in another direction. I'll get more into this in the spoiler talk video. All gripes aside, I do think the film is worth watching and worth watching in theaters if you still can. Watch with a friend with some drinks. Just don't expect the scariest movie of all time, and maybe you'll be pleasantly surprised. Robert Eggers is still one of the most interesting and talented writers and directors today, and I will be watching and rewatching his previous work, and I look forward to seeing what he comes up with next.
Special thanks to all my Patreon subscribers. If you want to support Hayhoe Studios, go to patreon.com/Hayhoe Studios and subscribe. We make movies ourselves. We made a movie called Sin, so watch that movie. And you, my dear, can review that film and you can tear it apart.
Thank you guys for watching. Subscribe for more.